tutorial, I will show you how to create this simple stopwatch just with Vue.js. I've done that tutorial previously, but in vanilla JavaScript. And this one is just a demonstration of how to use certain concepts in Vue.js and realizing a very simple project. So let's get into it. The first thing you wanted to do is installing the Vue command line interface, which will come pretty handy when we are using Vue. You can do so by running npm install -g, which stands for global, and then add Vue /command line interface CLI. I've previously installed that, but you can just execute the command. Then we can simply use a Vue command to create a new project. We will call that stopwatch -Vue. It's creating a project and it's asking us some things to configure. We are going for Vue 3. Okay, here we go. So it's exactly telling us what we should do next. We should open the project in terminal. We can also open it in Visual Studio Code or in any other text editor. Just make sure that you have a Vue.js plugin installed, as I have done, so that you get proper syntax highlighting and all that. So the next thing is we wanted to go back into the terminal, copy that thing over here, and we can just execute this in a VS Code terminal, and that's running the dev server for Vue.js. And this comes pretty handy compared to vanilla HTML and JavaScript because it has hot reloading included. So you just go onto this website. It just has started a web server for us, and here we have a Vue.js sample project, and we are going to adjust a lot of things right now. The first thing we want to do is we want to import our style sheet for Pico. And to do this, we are going to the index.html. We also want to have syntax highlighting for that, otherwise it looks quite weird. We just add this to import our Pico style sheet, and you can see whenever I save, the page is reloaded, compiled again and reloaded. This comes pretty handy. So we have the style sheet included right now in our index.html, and when you look a little bit farther down here, you can see that we have a body with a div given the ID app, and this one comes down to the app.vue, where we just define the content of this component. So we have a template here, which is defining the DOM elements, and we can stack components for sure. So for example, here you can see that they have defined a hello world component, and this one lives over here in components, and the hello world component just displays a lot of things we are seeing over here when starting the sample project. So what we need to do is we need to remove a lot of code and create a stopwatch component. So we can get rid of this style sheet over here, and we just wanted to change the hello world component. We wanted to make a stopwatch component, importing it from stopwatch.vue. Then it's complaining that it doesn't exist, so we need to create this file for sure. Inside of this component, we can get rid of all this inside the template here, just deleting it for now. We say stopwatch. We can also delete the props. We don't need it right now. Also get rid of the scoped style. This is another thing in Vue. We have a scoped styling. So this means that the style I put in here is only applied to this component and not to the whole application. This can be very good sometimes. This should include the stopwatch component for us. So you can see in a second what it does. We included the stopwatch here, and this component at the moment displays nothing, but we can say hello world. We reload it, and you can see we have hello world in Vue.js with a very simple component. So let's start to write our stopwatch component. It basically contains different parts. The first one is over here in the script. So we can define data. This is the data of our component, and we just define it as a JavaScript object, and we basically use the same variables as before. In the tutorial I made for the vanilla JavaScript stopwatch, we need an isRunning boolean, we need milliseconds, that is 0, we need seconds and hours, and minutes, that's it. Seconds, minutes, and hours. So these are our variables of our stopwatch component, and the next thing we want to do is we want to have some methods inside here. The methods you can just call inside the component, and we just need some for our stopwatch to work. So the first one I want to write is start stop, and this one is just starting or stopping the stopwatch for sure. If it's not running, then we wanted to set the timer. I see that I just forgot to add the timer. We also need a timer object over here. So we have timer, null for now, that's it. And if the stopwatch is not running, we wanted to apply a set interval for this timer, and we just say that we wanted to call a function update time, which we will implement in a second, and we wanted to execute it every 33 milliseconds. If it's not running, if it's running, then we wanted to clear the interval, and we are passing this .timer. And we also wanted to toggle the isRunning boolean. So we say this.isRunning is equal to not this.isRunning. All right, so we have the start stop. We also wanted to have a reset function, not resize 2, but reset, come on. Here we wanted to clear the interval as well. Wanted to reset this.timer, and we wanted to reset all our counter variables, so milliseconds, seconds, minutes, and hours. All right. Also, when we reset the timer, when we reset the stopwatch, we want to set isRunning to false because the stopwatch is not running anymore. And the next function we are going to write is update timer, which we call over here in the set interval function. This one is because we are executing it every 33 milliseconds. This one is just adding 33 to the milliseconds, and now we have some logic over here. If this .milliseconds is larger than 1000, we wanted to increment the seconds. And we wanted to subtract 1000 from milliseconds. And if we have this dot seconds equals to 60, this dot seconds is equal to 0, and we wanted to increment the minutes. Then we also want to check if this dot minutes is equal to 60, and if that's the case, we also wanted to set minutes to 0 again, and we wanted to increment the hours by 1. So that's it for the update logic. Pretty straightforward. And we also want to have a method format time, which is coming pretty handy later on, because we just wanted to have, when we display a number, let's say we wanted to display the seconds, we wanted to have it with a leading 0 in case it's less than 10. So I will show you what it means in a second. Okay, over here we are. Let's say this is how our stopwatch looks like. And let's say I have 1 second stopped at the stopwatch, and I wanted to add a leading 0 to it, so it's looking well formatted. And for this reason, we need the format time function. We can just say if time is larger than 0, if time is smaller than 0, we wanted to add a leading 0 and return the time. If it's not the case, we just wanted to return the time in any other case. So that's it for the functions, and now we can also add a computed property. A computed property is really awesome in Vue.js, so I will just show what you can do with that one. It's basically always computing the value whenever a variable is changing, and this comes pretty handy over here for our stopwatch. So we can just say we wanted to have a computed property called display, and this one should just return the string we wanted to display, the time which is actually stopped. And for this we can just say return this.format time from this.hours plus and then this.format time from this.minutes and the fourth and so on, this.format time from this.seconds and this.format time from this.milliseconds. All right, here we go. This is it for the computed property, and the most awesome thing about what we can do with Vue.js is the data binding. So let's focus on the template, on the elements we wanted to add to the document tree. So first of all, we wanted to add the article, the card component from Pico, from our CSS framework. We say class stopwatch. Then we have a div over here, and here comes the data binding. This is awesome because we just say we wanted to display the display value. And this is a computed property, and whenever one of those values is changing, it's computed again and just inserted over here. And this is awesome. You don't need to care about anything more. Beside of that, we also wanted to have some buttons. In Vue.js, you can define onClick event with @click. You just define a function. When the button is clicked, we wanted to call start stop. And this one is also pretty nice. We can evaluate something over here. Whenever our variable is running, is true, we display stop. And when it's not true, we wanted to display start for this button. All right, the next button is the reset button. So we wanted to call the reset function for sure, @click reset. Here we can just type in the text because it's static. And this one includes the logic for starting and stopping the stopwatch. So let me just think a second. We don't have done any styling yet, but anyways, I can just show the website to you. We can just click start, it's starting, and reset is also working. This is awesome, perfect. Next thing is just adding some more styling. We can do it in this scoped styling area over here, and I will just add some styling which I figured out looks quite nice. I wanted to reduce the width of our stopwatch container a little bit, and then we have our stopwatch.div where we wanted to increase the font size a little bit. It's this over here where we displayed the numbers, and this over here with the buttons. So we just wanted to say we increase the font size, the font weight as well. We wanted to make it a little bit more bold. Padding 10 pixel, border 2 pixel, solid 1, and then we go for a dark color 333, border radius. This makes the border a little bit more round in the corners. We wanted to add a background color, which is a light one, F8, 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 pretty light, and margin bottom 20 pixel. And the last one is stopwatch dot div. Oh, sorry, this one we don't need. There we don't need the dot, because we just wanted to reference the element, not something with a class called div. So we say div plus div. This is the second div here. And here we just wanted to have display flex and justify content. Justify content. Center. No. Center looks not good. Space around. Just checking it out once again. Oh, I see I have applied the light color to both of the divs, so better take another approach. We want to add a class here, display. Now we can just style stopwatch.display, and then we can just add another class, buttons, and here we can just reference buttons. Let's see if that's working better. Yep, all fine. And finally, we just want to also style our the container in which the stopwatch lives. So I wanted to add a gradient background, and I wanted to center the whole thing over here. And we can do that by switching to our app component, the main component, which is also mounted into the index.html. And over here we can just define for our app width of 100 VW, height 100 VH. We wanted to display it flex, and when we have display flex, we can also say align items, center, justify content, center, and we can also, I will just copy that one, we can just add a linear gradient background, and once again, when we visit the page, we can see we have the stopwatch over here, and that's in Vue.js. Hope this was a good introduction, and there's one more thing which I wanted to definitely cover in that tutorial, which is props you can pass to components. So I have just added this component over here, but you can also pass values to it. So let's say I wanted to define a prop which is called start, and this one defines whether the stopwatch is running in the beginning or not. And we just need to accept that one in our stopwatch component. So we can do this by defining a prop. Just say props. And the only property we wanted to have right now is a property called start. It's from type Boolean, and also the default value when you don't add anything, this is false. So this means that the stopwatch will not run. So this will be just passed into the component because we are just passing it over here. And the next thing we want to do is we wanted to react to it. So for this, there is a lifecycle hook in Vue, which is called mounted. And this one is executed whenever the component is mounted into the whole document tree. So we can just add this over here. You can also just check out lifecycle hooks for Vue.js, and there are some more which you can just hook into and listen to. But for us, mounted is good because whenever the application is created and mounted, we just wanted to check if this.start is true. And if this is the case, we just call the function start/stop. All right, so you see, whenever I refresh the page, we have the stopwatch running. And in comparison to that, and that's where the whole component thing is becoming really powerful, we can also add a second component for our stopwatch. We just have our stopwatch component and we can say, oh, okay, I wanted to have two stopwatches now. One which is starting automatically when I visit the page, and the other one is not starting automatically. I can just hit it manually. You can go crazy with that and reuse the components, which is a pretty important concept about Vue. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial and it helps you a little bit to understand the concepts of Vue better, and happy coding!